My high C38, Leo Coys and KTK. Lucas on the fly, causing turbulence, causing waves on our way to the confluence. New voice for the fans, from the pitch to the stands. My high locals than the South Bank lads. Leo Coys and a homie crashed. Hold up, what's this? A raft on the water to the confluence. Yeah. It's chance, I'm bound up, rounds, I love that. Head to the wars, if it's this, you're off the C38, this time is now. Locals on the jump to hold it down. Like the stream and do 5 stars. The mile high Hotspur and crash the car.
Yes, you filthy animals. Welcome back to the Confluence. My name is Leo Coys, the Mile High Hotspur, and I'm joined by my homie, a certified rapid sicko, and the co-host of this here podcast, the driver of the Daddy Shuttle, KTK. How are you doing, my homie? Talk to me.
Doing good. Sorry to you and everybody for the delay on this week's episode. I flew back from Charlotte, North Carolina today, this early this morning, and we were talking earlier, I was in a hotel that had the worst internet I've ever had in my entire life, and we gave it a good college try last night, and it was not having it, so we had to postpone this a night and to get to everybody. So other than that, I'm a little tired. Had to get up at about, I would say about 3:00 Denver time this morning to get up and early on a plane out of the East Coast and come over, wrapped up work this morning or this afternoon, and then went straight to the fields to train with my girls before our tournament this weekend. So I am a little bit tired, but I'm very excited and very happy to be able to chat with you tonight about our PIDs this week. I will say, and I know we talked about it a little bit before, I know Leo's down a little bit today. His Hotspurs aren't doing so hot. So I appreciate you hanging in there and talking about a team who's got a bit of a upward trajectory at the current moment.
Yes, my homies, and honestly, it's been like that for the last couple of seasons. I've been kind of able to feed when one club is not doing so good. For some reason, the other one has. So I've been able to be blessed in that sense. So yeah, no doom and gloom over here, my homies. It's all about the piddies for right now, my homies. And yeah, appreciate you for making the effort as well, my homie. So let's get right into today's episode. And before we do, I definitely want to say big up to everybody tuning in on this episode, whether that's watching or listening on YouTube or listening on any of the podcast platforms. Crash and I honestly appreciate all the support. One of the coolest things about going back to Dick's Sporting Goods Park this past weekend, Crash, was just running into all the homies and running into people that had nothing but good words to say about the Confluence podcast that we have. And those positive words of encouragement, they go a long way, homies. So I'm pretty sure, Crash, we appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and say that for you as well. Yeah, let's keep going, my homies. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And hopefully the Rapids, if this game at Dick's was anything to kind of look forward to, then we're going to have a peach of a season, my homies. And with that as well, I want to say big up to the C38, the Mile High Locos, who provide an excellent environment for us at the stadium. Crash, we were talking just behind the scenes about the TIFO. Again, putting in work behind the hours. I know they reached out on social medias and asked for all the soldiers to come through and help, and they did an excellent display of a TIFO. Crash, let's just start this episode by bigging them up and talking about the TIFO real quick, my homie.
Yeah, definitely. It was a pretty amazing feat and effort. You know, our stadium isn't the most conducive to the TIFOs comparatively to some of the other places around the league. So I know C38 and all the supporters there on the South Bank really go above and beyond to make those things happen. And this home opener Tifo was definitely one of my favorites. For those who haven't seen it yet, it was a South Bank full size Game Boy with multiple different scenes of a Pokemon battle that included Rapid Man, which was pretty interesting. So it was, with multiple different scenes that kind of changed, that interacted with it. And so just the effort, the vision, the design, the creativity of it was pretty amazing. So props to everyone who's involved with that and making that vision come to life. It really was definitely one of my favorites of the season. I think the only other one I could think of, was the Portland's had a big cassette player that had a cassette that kind of went into it. I think this was right up there with one of those, really standout performances. So good job to those guys for sure.
It's good look on that one. Good look on that one. Crash, it was our first look at and I had they gave out the flags at the beginning of the game. And now that I was looking at it, it's got the burgundy and black. More burgundy, a bit of black. And I was gonna say, what was your take on your new look, burgundy and black boys, if you will? I mean, Matt Wells taking the helm here at Dick's now for his first match, and it was a complete a difference from our season opener. We're talking about now playing against Portland, coming off the back of the 2-0 defeat. We opened up the account pretty early. A great goal by Hamzat Ojediran. I'm just going to pronounce it like that. I believe that's how we're going to go with it. And then we get a goal in the second half from Lucas Herrington. The big young fella rises highest and puts it in the back of the goal. And I think that was also his assist for the first goal as well. Put in a very good. Am I tripping? Didn't he put in a very good ball?
He did. It was to no. He did have a really good assist. That was to Alex Harris on that breakaway at one point. So he almost got an assist later. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. No, for sure.
Crash, take over, my homie. Just give me your thoughts on the game. I kind of just tried to break it down a little bit, but now let's get into it in depth, my homie. Talk to me. Break it down from minute 1 to minute 90.
Well, I think the key of it is minute 1 comparatively to the week before was you saw a team out on the pitch that felt confident, that knew the system they were doing, and started from the beginning on the front foot. It was a 9-day effort compared to the week prior, which I think was the number one thing. There was a confidence out on the field, which I think, we didn't see, that I was immediately, we were able to catch on to. There was even at the very beginning, there was a moment there that Cole almost got a really nice header off of a corner right before, I think around the 5th or 6th minute, with a beautiful save by Zack. So he was on his game. And, I'm sure Cole would love to have that one back, but, great save there by Zack. And then just a great response. The team put it together and was able to keep fighting back. And at no real point did they look out of place or they look on the back foot. I think that was the biggest thing for me. And we were creating opportunities. We were creating chances. Rob Holding almost had a beautiful header that was saved by Pantemis. That was such a good save as well off of a corner. So I think, all arounds, and at the very beginning, this is all within the first 10 minutes of the game. And, we were able to get rewarded with Hamzat with that 7-minute that goal from basically Fort Collins. So it was pretty amazing. He saw an opportunity, decided take a crack at it and put it in the traffic and got a little deflection. And next thing you know, we got a goal and we're all celebrating right off the bat, which is really fun. So it's the kind of opening day game you want. You want to see your team, you want to see a team that you can root for. You want to see a team that's out there putting in the work. And you want to see a team that's proving you wrong, right? And we had a lot of questions going into this season. And, last week definitely gave us a lot more questions. And at least we're seeing a team that can go out there and fight for 90 plus minutes and come out with a good result at home.
Yep. I thought it was an excellent display as well. Like you said, just getting off on the right foot. But you made a good point, Crash, and it was Cole Bassett had a very early chance, which was the header that you were talking about, and a great reaction save from Zack Steffen. Dude, if that shot happens to go in and they score that early, it's a punch in the face, and we're probably talking about a complete different game. Just given the fact that like we were coming home from getting beat up, the week before, and then having something like that happen early. So I thought that was very good awareness there from Zack Steffen. And then Rob Holding had a couple of chances, bro, throughout the game. The one that you're talking about was an excellent cross in from Paxton. And yeah, he to be fair, like he did kind of shoot it directly at the goalkeeper, but the goalkeeper like himself does a very good job in like the reaction save to it, which was then led to the corner kick, which kind of broke down a bit and went out wide, which was then fed to Hamzat. And you're right, bro, drilled that joint from God knows where. And whether he meant it or not, like that, hold on. He meant to shoot it on target, but whether or not the deflection helped it or not, like, it's still his goal. Man, at that point, bro, I'm just gonna bring the homies back to the South Bank, and I missed that feeling, bro, where the ball goes in, especially on that side of the field, and the homies just go crazy, dude. Like that's part of the funnest part, I guess I want to say, of being there at the Richard. And not only that, like just watching your team score for me is it's all the fun, bro. Is all the fun watching the goals, especially when they're going in from distance. Not to jump too far forward, we'll definitely touch a bit more about this later, but Matt Wells, he kind of said, I don't encourage him to shoot from there, but if he's gonna be making them, then shoot. Crash, what's your thought on a long range effort? Are you for or against it?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Matt. Like that wouldn't have been my first choice, right? And I think he had referenced. Yeah, I would have liked him to check down to Sealy there on the wing to get a ball in, but he saw an opportunity, he saw a hole, whatever he saw, and he's got the leg to give it a go, and it went in. So on another day, maybe it's better to give a better chance to get in there, because that is definitely a very low percentage chance to go in. But it went in, and it opened his account as a Rapid at home on the opener. So, I think he's living up to the expectation that he kind of preceded him with coming from, first division club, one of the top first division clubs in French league right now. So, that's what we want to see. We want to see him stepping up, and just while we're talking about Hamzat, it wasn't just that goal either. Like he played very well defensively. He really commanded the midfield, alongside Josh. And I thought that was, some of that strength and solidity, that we've needed for the past couple years that we haven't necessarily had. And it was good to see that strength back there, because, what they had seen in him, and the reason why they brought him to the club is starting to come to fruition. So I'm really excited to see what he can do when he starts even getting more in form. If the goal and kind of his play on Saturday is any sort of prediction on where he's going to go when he's fully informed, then it could be a really exciting season for him. So definitely somebody to watch in the future.
All right, I'm just kind of taking a look at some of his stats here. I do Sofa Score. I know you're more of a FOT mob type of dude. He got a 7.5 rating. He only had one misplaced pass, a 27 out of 28, and he had 10 out of 11 in the opponent's opposition half. Bro, those are some fucking good numbers from your 6, or that you want to be playing there. And defensively too, he was sound, bro, with 2 tackles, ground duels. Out of 5 of them, he won 3 of those ground duels. So he put up a good performance, bro. And again, picked up the goal. Something that I guess I could say is, apart from him, the whole team as a whole showed personality and bravery with the ball crash.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, you start to see their identity really come to fruition, which I thought was interesting. Where even the identity Wells had said wasn't really evident, in Seattle. You started to see those things come out. You started seeing the confidence. You started to see them play the way that, we would want them to play. And there was the confidence that was there. So for me, it was an all around great effort. And, it's what you want to see at home. You want to see a team dominate other teams. And I think that is the identity of this club. And, you look at the possession numbers, you look at the shots and, chances created, all those things live up to that dominant style of play that Matt is looking for. And I think the other side of it, he mentioned, when he, in the post game, that this was much closer to the identity that he wants. But he also mentioned that it's not even quite there yet. Right. And so they're still working to get there. But I think, he's saying, the team showing personality and bravery on the ball, the pressing and the intensity, I think was visibly evident that, much different than the game that we against Seattle. So end of the day, we created 25 shots and 10 of them were on target. That's what you want. You want your team to create opportunities. We want our team to shoot. We want our team to put the ball in dangerous areas. And, and when you look at it, we only scored 2 goals. And I think the XG was right around 2 goals, which is great. But 10 shots on target with a lot of really good opportunities and chances, it could have been 4-0, which is, something that could easily happen. I mean, you take that header from Rob, you take, 1 or 2 of those shots from Hoffa and Alex Harris, and it could have been 5. If things went just a couple inches a different direction. So definitely something that is exciting to see. And hopefully we see that come into form even more each week.
I just want to go ahead and say this. I think Rob Holding could have had a few goals. He hit the crossbar. He drilled the keeper. He was busy as well, bro. He had a good performance as well. I'm gonna check out these ratings here for him. A 7.3 as well. For Rob Holding. Lucas Herrington, though, my homie. What are your thoughts about that big homie? I'm just gonna call him the big homie. It's a big hit, bro. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. He's definitely the giant Aussie. I really like him. I think the profile matches very much what this team is look for in a center back. Tall, young center backs that are quick and are confident on the ball. And you're seeing that, he's only, what is he, 18, 19 years old? He's super young. The guy can't buy a beer, after the game. but yet he's out there acting like it's no big deal. And he's, you could see that on when he's out there. He's out there, the ball's coming to his feet. He can get pressure. He's finding those line breaking pass, like that long, like back line to mid and past midfield to get to Alex Harris and to get him into the keeper or one-on-one. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you don't usually see from players of his age. You're seeing people that are, little unsure themselves. They get pressure and they, get a little concerned and turn around and then trying to play back and they make mistakes or different things. And for him, just business. He was there doing a job and confident, whether it was, I need to do some emergency clearance and just get the ball out of bounds in a safe area, or he was able to make a play and find that pass. Either option for him, we never saw him really get rattled, which is really what you want to see from a young center back like that. Now I'm just at this point, he was on the team of the match week for the home opener, which, for somebody that's brand new to the club, made their home debut and got a goal, is, sitting on the team of the match week with somebody like Lionel Messi. Not a bad way to start your career in MLS. And I think that's really exciting for us as Rapid fans, and for him, for his own career. But also it just goes to show maybe, we'll see how long he actually sticks around. Hopefully we have him for a year or two of good seasons and seeing him really develop into one of the best players on the team.
Unfortunately, that could be a reality, bro. Yeah, look, and from the South Bank point of view, when the goal comes in, the second goal, that is the Lucas Herrington goal, it was on the north boundary, so it was on the opposite side. It was a bit tougher for us to kind of see it. I almost get the impression that like a lot of us were kind of confused and didn't really we kind of waited to see each other's reactions, and then then we went wild again. Look, I thought that kid had a very good game, and again, for some reason I remembered it being an assist, but it wasn't because Harris just kind of throwed it down. I think the goalkeeper got a touch on it, and then it went out wide. Dude, we peppered them up all freaking game long, bro. Just looking back at some of these stats, we had 12 corners. That in itself is remarkable, dude. And I seen that they're doing some sort of routines. They were always doing different type of plays, if you will. And, you mentioned something earlier, how they're doing some sort of data sharing and, in cahoots with their mother club, which is Arsenal. That is one thing that they're known for. The Arsenal is their set piece play, right? And I can see tiny bits of that type of play built up, if you will. Not necessarily the same thing, but there's glimpses of that type of style. So I'm a fan of it, bro. I like the set pieces. I think it does add a different perspective, I guess. It adds a different dynamic to the game because one of these goals, could change a game, on a set piece. In fact, the majority of our opportunities came from either a dead ball or a corner kick. So we have to take advantage of those opportunities. We have two set piece coaches. Now, Crash, I don't know if that's one on the offensive side and one on the defensive side.
It is.
A pre-game, which is something that we haven't seen before. The players actually lined up on our side and were practicing set pieces, and I'm pretty sure the defensive part was practicing on the defensive side and the offensive part was practicing on the offensive side. Yeah. With that being said, Crash, was there anything that you saw that stuck out to you, whether it's I guess we kind of touched on some of the positives, but, something apart from the goal scorers or something, just something that you, from the coach's point of view, or the coach's eye, that you've seen, I guess both positive and in a negative way?
Yeah. So I think one of the positive things, and I touched on it last week, was I didn't see the team switch off. Right, I saw a team that was in every moment of the game throughout. There was a moment that Zach ran out to save a ball that was going out of bounds, and it was actually this was a play that kind of maybe got a little overlooked, but normally we would be super scared. It would have been like, oh no, what are we doing? Why is he out of the box? But if you saw how the rest of the team covered for him doing that, but it could have been an easy just let the ball out. But he didn't. He had time and space. He ran out, saved the ball from going out of bounds, and then played it out of the back. And he was not in goal. And there was, played it across the center to I think maybe Lucas, and then they kind of worked their way through and allowed Zach to get back to goal. But there was a confidence there, and there was and the effort and intensity to win that ball, to keep possession. And that's a mentality thing. And I think that was one of the big things I noticed, that I'm like, that's what I'd want to see. I wanted to see them, go after those. It wasn't it could have been a risky play, but then the ability to play out confidently without, getting concerned that, Zach's not directly in the goal. I think also, Portland also didn't press and put in the effort that I would have wanted if I was, Phil Neville on the Portland side. And so maybe it was a little bit of a result of that, but still, you're playing the team that's in front of you. And so, if they're not doing some of those triggers or those different things, you have a bit more confidence. So my hope is to see that confidence, keep improving and that intensity kind of keep going on, because, they were locked into that game from the moment the whistle blew to the final whistle at the end, which was what we'd want to see. The only other thing that I could think of to maybe improve on is, I agree. I think the set pieces are great. I think we're seeing a team play, a much more, European or, English style of football, which is good. You're getting that from those coaches and that mentality and that kind of vision of the game. But the other side that we didn't see, so we got a lot of opportunities from those set pieces. But, we didn't score from, outside of Hamzat's, deflection, which was but we didn't see any of our traditional goal scorers. We didn't see Hoffa. We didn't see Paxton. We didn't see Seeley, really get opportunities and you get it in the back of the net. They had a couple, and they didn't go in. And so I think the key of it is, we want to keep them to keep having chances, but we also want to start seeing them score from the run of play, and from open play. So I think at the end of the day, that's my only critique, is it's not a bad thing. They had opportunities and chances, but we got to start seeing them score from the open play, because that's going to be the key of it. There'll be a point where we'll kind of get found out in set pieces, or we will not have as many. And so we can't rely on those at all those times. So we have to make sure we're creating those opportunities and chances and putting the ball in the back of the net when we can.
Yeah, bro, fair play to that, homie. No goals from open play is, of course, yes, sucks. But when you are then substituting that with putting it in the back of the net some other way, then I guess like you said, at that point, it would just be just trying to find the negative, which I guess is what we were doing. Because I asked you, so I agree, homie. Not really too much negative. I thought the team looked very focused. They were on. They didn't turn off, like you mentioned. What about players, bro? Before we move on past the game, rating wise, it says Atencio was our lowest, and then Reggie Cannon just slightly better than that. And not to throw any shade or anything, but did they look out of place? Did they look like maybe if the next man up was in there, maybe we could do something better? Because even was in the second half when we made the substitutions, we had Reggie Cannon and Keegan out there, right? So
yeah, I think so.
he's
Yeah.
been out there for the majority of the game still, albeit his lower rating than the rest of the back line. Um, just your takeaways from Atencio and I guess Cannon being the lowest rated Rapids, and so I kind of touched on this couple of episodes ago. Is I have a high expectations for John Atencio, especially if he's going to be able to play with uh next to Hamzat. I think that's the type of player that you can benefit off of and kind of flourish and allow his ability to kind of help you roll yours out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think so. One of the things, Josh did, he just wasn't a key factor in a lot of the play, right? And I think we played through him, or he created opportunities. He didn't have a bad game by any means, but I think he didn't impact the game as strongly as we would want that position to really have in a game like this. I think at the end of the day, we are going to need him to play, to help facilitate, help, get those passes through and help, shuttle things, from the back line to to the front. Because if Hamzat's the destroyer, right, if he's the one who's really locking down the back there, we're going to need somebody that's facilitating, the movement forward. I don't think he did a bad job by any means. I think, you saw it, he was switched on. He was, fouling when he needed to foul and creating, uncomfortability from, and from the Portland side, which is what that role is meant to do. So I think he did a good job and it was a good game. But I think we just haven't seen the best Josh Atencio yet. And I think that's the key is we want to see him really get confident in that system and what his role needs to be. And then if we can start seeing him shine and creating chances, taking some of the legwork off of Paxton, right? Help, being that dangerous person who can help kind of shuttle, the ball forward and really being that true box to box midfielder that we would probably have gotten from Cole. I think that's what we really need to see that role for him. And I think we'll see it. I think it's just, we're not quite fully there yet. And then Reggie, I think Reggie had a good game. He was able to lock down, I think it was it Anthony on that side, or Velde, either way, the wingers did not have a great game from Portland. They, they locked those guys down. There wasn't anything that they threw at them that really shook any of our fullbacks, which was good. Even Cannon had an opportunity to get forward and got taken out by Pantemis, which could have, it could have even been a red card depending on the day. So I think you look at those kinds of opportunities, and that's what you want to see your fullbacks do. If they're playing forward and doing some of the overlap there, he was creating chances and made it hard for Portland. So yeah, he might have not been the highest rated on the team by any means, but I think he did the job that we needed, which was exciting. So it'll be interesting to see how the fullback position really ends up. If Travis has been having a good run of form, we have the Miguel Navarro on the team. See if he gets minutes, and even Keegan has looked confident when he's come on. So all four of those guys are really do battle for the position. And I think I can't say that Keegan is going to be my starter every game, but if he needs to be, I would be confident in him. And I think at the end of the day, there's a really good group there. So I think really all around, even our lowest rated players still played really well this Saturday.
I definitely agree, homie. Like I said, it was definitely not to bash either one of them. It was just I wanted to, I guess, get your point of view, because it's one thing I really enjoy about this chat with you, bro, is I really I enjoy watching the Rapids games from like the fan point of view, and I also enjoy being able to pick your brain and get it from like the coach's mindset. You know what I mean? So I think it's a good balance, bro. I that's why I enjoy it. And I try to just ask you these questions because I definitely I'm just interested, homie. Um, but to wrap up I guess to just kind of wrap up the discussion on the game, it was definitely a massive response after the Seattle loss. It was our first look of the Wells identity here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Fair play to everybody in the building. The atmosphere at the Richard was on point that day. Um, and even Matt Wells coming out and saying that, it was a much closer identity to where he wants to be. Definitely he wasn't happy with it. He knows there's still more to come from the Rapids. And talking about more, the Rapids showed much more personality and bravery with the ball, and our pressing and our intensity just looked a hell of a lot better for this game. Crash, like we talked about, we created 25 shots and 10 of those were on target. And we're just looking a lot much closer to what Matt Wells wants to say. He's even come out afterwards talking a little bit about Alex Harris. And before we go on to the next subject or topic, what I know he's talked about this thing, how, during training, you're going to earn the shirt and, you really have to put in the graft during the week for Saturdays. But Rash, I just have to ask you, homie, do you throw all of that out the window and start the same 11 this next game against LA? Because let's just say Yappy seems to train a bit harder and on merit, Yappy deserves the shirt over Harris or however it is you want to peel that potato. But let's just say what worked last week worked, bro. So why change it up? Crash, what would you do, bro?
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? And I think there's going to be a point where he's going to need to have a consistent starting core. And I think we're starting to see that now. But the positions that we also have limited, I guess, quality or depth on, are going to be the positions you're going to see that motion, right? And I think that left wing position, I think Sealy has pretty much locked down the right side. I think Paxton and Hoffa really locked down the 9 and 10 roles. It's going to be hard for Yappy to take over for Hoffa, because we didn't talk a lot about Hoffa today, but he played an amazing game. Like, he didn't get on the score sheet, but Hoffa did Hoffa things all game long and made it really difficult for them. And you're not going to not start him. And I think even Paxton, the same situation. He had a really good game despite, not really making the big impact on the score sheet. But all the other things he did off the ball and different elements there was really, really positive. So, you look at those positions and the key quality positions we have, you're not going to see the shift there. But that left wing position, it's going to be a fight. So I think it's really up for grabs for anybody. But I have to say, though, it's the area that I expect us to be putting a starter into. I have big questions as to why our U22 Alexis Manioma is not consistently starting in that position. That's a key position. That's KDP's the same boat, right? Another U22 that's not starting in that position. We're getting Alex Harris. Granted, he had a great game. He's impressing the coach. That's the culture he wants. But why aren't the other two, key players not doing that? KDP came on later in the game as a substitute and had a, good few minutes. And Yappy did the same thing, but Yappy's also not sure his position. He knows he's a striker and he's being played in out of position. Why is that? Is it because he has good enough quality to play there, or it's because we don't have any other really solid players that are worth starting? I think that's the biggest issue that I see with it. And so if we see some inbound transfers, which even if you talk, the question was asked for Matt today, from the guys at Pigcast, if we expect to see new players come in, and he said yes, we need some more competition, and from what it sounded like, it was players that are to his model and to what he's expecting to fit this system, and that's a very particular player, and they're searching for that and see what's out there, and they're expecting some additions, and those didn't sound like more depth pieces to me. Those sounded like players that you would expect to be fighting to be starting every game. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. We'll see what's going on. I think if you have this level of competition and you're still getting a starting caliber player coming in afterwards, that's what you want. You want all this competition and these players to be able to jump in at any moment and fight for a shirt. And if you have a starting caliber person on the top of that, that's a good thing. So we'll see how it kind of turns out, but I would imagine we're going to start getting more consistency. You're going to start seeing injuries. You're going to start seeing knocks and things come up as the season progresses that we're going to need to work through. So I think our depth's a little lighter than we might want, but we have some good solid depth across the board that will get us through in the meantime, even if we don't see multiple transfers or inbounds coming in here in the next couple weeks, till I think the window closes here in 2 weeks. So it's going to happen sooner than later, if it's going to happen at all. So
yes. Well, and we kind of, I know I've said this on the pod plenty of times. I've seen Yappy each season just progressively get better and better and better. And I would hope that we see the same thing this season. And you're right, maybe it could just be a circumstance where he has been showing some signs of being able to play out there on the out wide, and which is why we've seen him there a bit. But yeah, it's going to just be even more congested if we bring in more players. But that's kind of what we need, right? We need that internal battle. We need that competition. I mean, again, I'll reiterate, Matt Wells is big on earning your shirt, and just I hope this mentality can stay here for a while, because
absolutely.
It just seems like it's a positive type of mentality, and one that the club is kind of, I mean, it kind of seems like they're trying to grasp, and what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I guess, just huddle around the philosophy and make it happen, if you will. Before the match, Crash, I guess just moving on, before the match, there was the fan forum where we were able to ask questions to the people up above. Yourself, was you and I don't know if you said you were going to try and take one of the kiddos. I don't know if they made it, but yeah, I know you were there, Crash. There was other sickos there. How'd that go, homie? Talk to us about that, dude.
Yeah, no, it was really good. I was happy to be there. It was at Dale's Bar before, and it was a little unfortunate that you couldn't, when you came in, you couldn't leave, and once you were in there, you were kind of stuck, and you could, so it was a little challenging. You couldn't go out to the tailgate, or do anything there. So that was a little unfortunate. The format, and I think the kind of what they were doing, was trying to kill two birds with one stone, trying to not let it pass over the opportunity. So I'm glad that they did it. I just wish they would have had a better opportunity and time for it. But there was a good turnout. They were very open and very honest with their answers. I think, we're continuing to see a lot of accountability, at least on its face, I will say. We're seeing that level of accountability, from the front office and from ownership, which is great. We got to also hear from, I forget her name off the top of my head, and I apologize. But the CVO, I think it is, where she's really focusing on. I'll have to pull up her name here so I can remember. It's killing me now. But talking about the creative stuff, the fan experience, the elements and the little touches around the stadium to make us market it. And, I think maybe it's the CMO, but Haley, I think is her name. But anyway, everyone was up there having good conversations and really, taking hard questions and taking hard feedback, from some of the fans. Some of the things were, we want to bridge across the road to make it easier, or, finishing, pathways to the communities in and around the stadium, or some of the things. So there's some of those just kind of like standard. We love the club. We don't want the club to leave. It's part of the reason why we moved here. We like the neighborhood and those kinds of elements. But then there was also some hard questions. I think, the big kind of giant, massive broken down scoreboard is always going to be one of the biggest topics that you're going to see in something like that. And they addressed it. For me, I kind of expected this answer, and it was good to finally hear it out loud, because it was, I think, something I'd been speculating for a while. But the stadium sponsorship is up at the end of the year for Dick's Sporting Goods. So there's a potential at the end of the year it might not be Dick's Sporting Goods Park again, if they don't renew that sponsorship. So it makes sense to me that they're not going to go and invest a ton of money to fix a scoreboard when they're going to have to redo it anyway to change, all the sponsor name and things like that on the board. So we'll see. They also mentioned that they're also evaluating all of the scoreboards with all of their brands. So and that could be the Avs, or that could be the Nuggets, that could be I'm assuming it's not the Rams because they have a brand new stadium, but but I think at the end of the day, they're looking at the opportunity to leverage buying more panels to get a better deal to kind of facilitate all the different brands that they might need, which also makes a bit of sense. It'll be a little bit different. I mean, I come from the world of production and LED, and that might work to a degree. I think that might be a little bit more of a lip service to it, to kind of mitigate some of that. But I think they might be looking at that, but the reality of that situation probably isn't as likely. But we'll see. I think at the end of the day, we're going to see something new in the future once they get a confirmed sponsor on that for the stadium moving forward. And who knows how long that will be. But I would imagine we're going to hear that here in the next year at least, because it's going to be coming up on lapsing soon, and they're going to need to secure that right away. So once they get an opportunity to move on it, who knows? Maybe they secure that before the summer break for the World Cup, and we come back in the second half of the season, and maybe we have a new scoreboard. Who knows? I highly doubt that. But they've been doing a lot of other really nice things around the stadium that have created a really good environment, which I thought were really good, which we saw on display for the home opener, which is really cool. The only other thing I could think of that really was a big factor was I had asked a question about kind of where they place the club within the league when it comes to facilities, analytics, infrastructure, how they felt that, with all the league really progressing and increasing and doing a lot of investment into themselves, where they felt that they lived. And Porig addressed a lot of it, but really looked at it from the analytics side. And he kind of mentioned that they're really leveraging the partnership and the ownership group between Arsenal and the different clubs to really share data and resources, which I thought was interesting. So there's a lot of big benefits of collaborating with a world-class organization like Arsenal. And so to be able to take those resources, trickle them down to the Rapids is only going to benefit our team in the long run. Whether that's been happening for the long term, I don't know. But if they're doing it now, I think that's a really good thing. So whether it's systems or whether that's sharing resources in that capacity. So maybe kind of like they're talking with the LEP walls, maybe they're getting the same platform to analyze players, to track nutrition, track health. All those things might start being utilized from both clubs, which could be really advantageous for the ownership, for shared resources, but also being able to leverage, hey, why did you do this? Or why did you do this? Whether it's nutrition or other different things. So I'm excited to see that. I think that come more and having more data is always a good thing. Obviously, they're a club that loves their data, being a very Moneyball kind of playing club. But yeah, so there's some good things in there, some good positives. They're also taking accountability. There were some definitely fans that had hard questions that really came at them in a way like, I don't like that answer. And they listened and they checked that. And so I thought it was at the end a really positive experience. But I hope we have more opportunities to discuss. And I really love for more people to be able to engage just because some of the questions were really good.
That was going to be my question to you. Do you think it was good for the Rapids to do something like that? And if so, like, do you think they'll be doing that, or do you encourage them to do that again? Because, it's kind of like, you put yourself out there to, I guess, to be
Yeah,
you're the hearings all the time in the political stuff. Like they interrogate you live. You put yourself out there for questioning, bro, and it's a tough position to be in as somebody in that position, bro. Because you're right, you get the fans that just want to feel more connection to the club, and then there's fans that have probably have been season ticket owners or holders for how long, and they feel like they deserve more than what the club has given them. So, and rightly so. I'm not saying that anybody's in the wrong there. But when you do that, you just leave yourself out there and you open up Pandora's box. Kind of like what I said when they asked for our opinion on the rebrand and just like what type of direction they want the club to take, like just reading through some of those comments, like they have to on Instagram, they hide so many comments. And I mean, fair play. I get it. Like the last thing you want is for all these negative comments, but like sometimes when you just open yourself up to it, my homie, what do you expect? You're going to get honest review from people who at the end of the day pay their hard-earned money to go watch something. And if we're being treated as clients and we're getting a product, then paying customers are going to want the best fucking product sometimes, and so I, even though I didn't make it, like I think that's a ballsy move, a fair play move to the organization for saying, hey, like shit's been rough. We're not gonna hide from it. And even a couple of weeks ago, before that, they did their own press conference where they kind of opened it up to some of the the local coverage, the people that cover the Rapids and a different type of media, and this one was even a broader move by saying, hey, we're gonna allow the fan to come in now and voice their concern or opinion, or put a face or voice to their questions. So yeah, I definitely think that's a good move, and it just kind of the transparency, Crash. It's always good, bro, to have that, like answering these questions is a good move, bro. A good move.
Yeah.
And like I said, fair play to the Piddies.
Well, and I think too, like the accountability of having those conversations and not tiptoeing around the hard things. I think we were talking about the scoreboard earlier, and Kim Demoff acknowledged it. He goes, we understand it's not about the scoreboard. Like, we understand that it's the image of the scoreboard is a reflection of the lack of attention that we've given to the Rapids. It's the neglect that we've had. I don't think he actually used that word necessarily, but that was the intention, right? Is that we've been a bit asleep at the wheel here, and it seems like they're really trying to change that. And so being able to be transparent with those questions and talk about it, I thought was really good. They even mentioned, talking about Armis. Korg was talking about Chris Armis and why he was not renewed, and he mentioned that Chris was a good coach, and they liked Chris, but he also said good isn't good enough. So I think at the end of the day, it's whether that's, this is a direction from Kem Demoff, who I'm seeing and really invested in these decisions and really seems to be trying to turn this club around to be that quote unquote world-class organization, which I think it might be the reason why we're seeing a lot of, these changes and opportunities, and maybe that's the idea. Is like, we did good is okay for the longest time. And maybe, now we're changing that to be like, we're going to make these changes to make it a world class, not just we're just the Rapids. We're going to be whatever we are every year. And that's okay. We want to compete. We want to be at the top of the league. We want to be the team that people are talking about, not the Rapids, whatever. So I like it. I think that was a good thing. The match day atmosphere, all the things that they did all around the stadium, the new chants at the beginning, all these little details are all little like low hanging fruit things that they should have done a long time ago, and that are such a good improvement into the experience that we haven't seen for so long, that I'm really happy that we're starting to see now. The water cannon, all those little things, like they're just fun things that you see that happen all around the league that we're starting to see at our club, which is what we want. So even though Dick's is extreme, an older stadium in the MLS terms, it didn't feel and look like an older stadium when I walked in it on Saturday.
So fucking fair play statement, bro. I like that, dude. It did not feel like that. It felt proper. It felt like we were ready for a football match. And I guess to kind of wind it all down and bring it all together, it reciprocated. It just, the players reciprocated it. The fans reciprocated it. Matt Wells did. Like, everybody involved with the Rapids that day was just, it was the weather was just such a wonderful day for football. What a wonderful way to start our season here at home. And back-to-back weeks we will be playing at home. I'm a bit bummed. I'm not 100% sure I'm gonna be there this weekend. I gotta watch my kids, bro. I can't take my little one with me by myself yet to the stadium. So I think if I don't line things up, I may be watching this one from home. But Crash, we have a tough opponent. Not to take anything away from our previous game, we have a tough one coming up back to back, my homie. The LA Galaxy come to Denver to face off with the Mile High Football Club. Crash, before we wrap up this episode, just thoughts on the opponent coming up, bro. Are you feeling more confident now that we've kind of seen a bad performance and a good performance? We know what we can be, both bad and good wise. What are you feeling like, homie? Talk to me about this upcoming match.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the key of it really is that we saw the Seattle game and what happened. We saw the reaction to the Seattle game with Portland, and we saw an identity. But we saw Jekyll and Hyde. We saw two different sides of the coin that now the question is, are we flipping a coin every game? Or is there going to be any sort of consistency that we see? And so now's the opportunity for that. I think, for the past couple of years, consistency has been something that we have not had. And so this is a good opportunity to one, prove that, this is going to be a big test for Wells and that system. Are the players buying in? Is this something they can do every week? Is this system work every week? Can we play it against some of the best teams in the league? I don't think LA is, the one of the elite teams in the West. I think they are a good team in the West. They have dangerous, players on their team. But again, I think if we can play our game and we can play it the way we want to do it, we can make it really hard for them. I think, our ability to make this, Dick's a fortress and be able to make it really hard for any player, any teams to come in here and play is something we have to do. But the other side, it's been really hard for any team to get a result on the road the first couple of matches. So we're going to see if that continues. If this is, I think, LA's first away match of the season for them, or at least for the NLS season, it'll be a big test, but it will be a good launching point for the team to say, okay, this is who we are. This is how we're going to play, and we're not going to shift and change everything just because the opponent changes. This is our identity, and we know how to play, and this is how we're going to be successful. So I'm really excited. I think, end of the day, seeing how some of the players we talked about, does Reggie Cannon step up even more and have a better game? Does Josh Atencio have a really good game? Are we seeing our attacking players get on the score sheet? Are they getting on early? Are we build that momentum kind of like we did Portland? If we're seeing that, then I think we're seeing some really good potential for this team to keep progressing forward in the standings.
Yeah, and just to kind of caveat what Crash was talking about and saying, LA Galaxy played home to New York City for the first game with the 1-1 draw. They actually played 3 games in a row because they had the CONCACAF Champions Cup as well, where they drew 0-0 to Sporting San Miguelito, which I couldn't even tell you where they're from, but doesn't even seem like that would be a fierce rival. Then they smash Charlotte, who seems to kind of be struggling as well this season, at home 3-0. And now they're coming into Denver to play against us. Look, I think at this point, both teams are going to be approaching this game and licking their lips thinking we're coming off of the back of a good result. One of these teams has to fold. You would think so. It could just be a draw, but if we're talking about one team coming out on top, I think it's going to be very important for the Rapids to do the same thing, bro. Not just the Rapids, but the environment at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Set the pace, set the tone early, and just be loud. One thing that has really, what would I say, ground my gears is I don't like when teams come here and they make us attack towards the South Bank first. I've always liked seeing our team attack towards the bank second. It's kind of like a superstitious thing for me. I always feel like, damn, if we could just attack our way the second half, because I just feel like when we're going towards the South Bank, the players and the team just feed off of that energy. And it's even going back to seasons past, like when they attack that side of the field. I just feel like everyone is involved is just has that much added energy and enthusiasm about them. So if we can get off to a great start early, this Saturday is going to be key. We're going to need huge performances from the midfield, not just this game, but all season. Crash, the midfield, especially in this type of system that Matt Wells is going to want to play. Midfield battles are going to be key all season long. And LA Galaxy are no strangers to having good midfielders as well. I know, is Ricky Puig injured? He seems like he's always injured for them, but he's a good midfielder there. I know when he comes to Denver, he runs right through us. I don't know if he's he plays a 10 or something like that, but he always destroys us, homie. So heck as well, we're not going up against an easy team. So it's gonna be a good test for the Rapids, an excellent test for Matt Wells as well. Um Crash, your closing thoughts on the upcoming game?
Yeah. No, I think, one of the things that Galaxy did in their last game against Charlotte was they scored 3 goals within a few minutes of each other and in the first half. And so, Joe Klaus is going to be tough, right? He's going to be, he's going to do things, but he's a known entity for us as well. So I think at the end of the day there, we have to be able to mitigate that. I think really the key of it is we have to play our system. We have to keep that identity. We have to stay switched on from the opening whistle to the final whistle and play our game and play with that intensity that Matt has instilled with them. And I think it's going to be a challenging game. I think this is the game that's going to be able to prove whether they have it or they don't. And so it's not a pressure thing or something they have to do, but it's just an identity that they have to grasp and say, this is it. This is who we are. And this will be their stepping stone to be a really solid team this season. And I think LA is a beatable team, right? NYFC is a good team that they drew, right? But I think Charlotte is a team that they should have beat 3-0, right? Especially at home. And so I think at the end of the day, we have to play better than those teams, and I think we can. And we're going to see if LA can travel and they can go on the road, come to altitude and play. And I don't necessarily know if they can, at least in the current state of who they are and kind of the way this team is. I know they've done it in the past, but I think we have a good opportunity here to step off in the right foot and be a known entity in the West.
Let's go, my homies. And to wrap up this week's episode of the Confluence, if you are listening to this and you wanted to partake in any type of the discussions, my homies, feel free to go down on any of the platforms. Let us know who was your man of the match against Portland, maybe a biggest improvement from the Seattle match. What about your player to watch for the LA Galaxy match, or even a possible score prediction? Let us know in any of the comment sections down below. Make sure you're following us on our Instagram page. That is also at the Confluence Pod. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, doing 5-star ratings, all that good jazz on any platform. Crash and I appreciate all the support and any love that we get, my homies. And yeah, I look forward to the game. Hopefully the next time we're here meeting up at the Confluence, we're talking about the same thing. Rapids, 3 points in the bag, my homies. Crash, anything you want to say? Is there anything that you want to plug before we sign off?
No, I do want to plug one thing, and that is your match day video from the last Saturday, the home opener on your channel. It was great. If you want to understand what the fan experience is at a Rapids game, what it feels like to be in the South Bank, what it feels like to see those goals get scored, take a look at Leo's Mile High Hotspur channel. We've linked some that video into our channel as well. Go take a look at it. It's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite videos that you do when you're there, just because, to be able to feel. I'm not always in the South Bank. I'm usually with my family somewhere else in the stadium, with my son or daughter. And so I'm not usually hanging out with you guys. So for me, it's a way for me to relive that experience and what it feels like, even from the section 109 when I'm watching the South Bank bounce around and celebrate a goal. So for anybody who wants to know, if anybody's curious what it's like to come to Rapids game, check out that video. It sums it up to a T, and we hope to see you there on the next one. For me, I just want to say, if you see me at the game on Saturday, I will be there for sure. Say hi, come say hi to me. I've seen a couple people that have come out and said hi to me, and I really enjoyed it. I'm just a normal guy at the game with my kids most of the time, so don't hesitate to come up and just give me a high five or anything like that, or to celebrate. So just excited to see everybody again at the Dick on Saturday night.
Homies, if anybody sees Crash and you take a selfie with Crash, and you tag us at the Confluence or something, I swear I'll give you a prize or something. You ought to see Crash and take a picture with him. Tag him, tag the Confluence, and I'll hook you up with something, my homies.
Last thing I do have for anybody who's interested in going to a game, we will have, and I do have a giveaway that we're going to do on an upcoming show. And so we will give you some assignments. We will give something like this an opportunity. But I have some extra tickets that were provided to me from my amazing rep, and he offered those to the audience. So upcoming, keep listening. We will have an opportunity to get some tickets for an upcoming game at the Dick, and we'll give you some more information in the future. But just wanted to throw that out there, because if you hear these assignments, maybe you might get something fun for the next upcoming game.
Yeah. What a perfect way to end this show, this week's episode, my homie. Big up to everybody tuning in. Big yourself up. And as always, my homies, up the PIDs.
Yeah. My heart, C38, Lil Coys and KTK. Locals on the fly causing turbulence. Got some waves on our way to the confluence. New voice for the fans, from the pitch to the stands. My heart, locals on the South Bank lads. Leo Coys and the whole me crash. Hold up, what's this? A raft on the water to the confluence. Yeah, it's trance. I'm blind to rhymes and laughter. Head to the waters if it's piss you're after. C38, the time is now. Locals on the drums to hold it down. Like the stream and 2 5 stars. The mile high hot spur and crash the car. Yeah.